Hey everyone, coming at you with a video today. We're going to do a little bit of a water test with the Swift Design and Textile FRAC-T W, or woodland, standard woodland padded sling made by Swift. US made. So the material for the actual pattern here, which you can see in the light, looks fantastic. I did do a correction because the CMYK print format for their dye sublimation printers put stuff out just slightly darker than what the pattern colorway is. I did a minor correction of that recently, but regardless, pattern itself looks great, and this is still well within the acceptable range of functionality for the designs. But this material is 600D polybase, so it is hydrophobic for the most part. And he uses closed cell foam for the padding in here. So what we're going to do is, I have a high pressure shower head, which is, I love that thing. Screw that low pressure water stuff, but I'm going to crank that on here real quick, and I'm going to throw it under the water here for a minute. So you can see that it doesn't really absorb any water. Now the nylon webbing that's used for it's a core that runs all the way through you know, and then for the ends for affixing to the rifle and stuff. The strapping down here can absorb some moisture. That's just a quality of nylon, which is why I like poly more. There's your branding. Yeah. That will absorb more, way more than this. So this stays pretty solid. So we're just gonna crank it on here. The water on the lens. Whoops. Sitting under the water blast. So you see the water is just beating right off. It is dry. It is dry right there. Little bit of residual that stays around the threads, but it dries almost completely. Like I can just wipe it right off. Look at that. Okay, so this stuff is in majority hydrophobic. It does not absorb water like the rest of the strapping here, which you can see the nylon is saturated. This stuff, see a little bit of that water on there, and you just wipe that off, and then it's dry. Let me get the lens here real quick. Yeah, that should help a little bit. So there you go. Now the weave of denier material called the warp and the weft, which is the vertical and lateral densities and types of weave for different materials. So warp and weft, that relegates how much, how separated, how loose or tight the threading is on material. Will show how much like individual water droplets will actually hang on to into the weave of the material. But as you can see, like, yeah, this is crazy. This stuff is like, this is already mostly dry. This dries extremely quick compared to the nylon webbing, because again, this is a polybase material, and in the 600D and in this warp and weft, this weave is extremely rugged. This is meant for outdoor equipment, which is why with our printing partner Rainier Fabrics, they offer this as well as Cordura 1000D, the Cordura HP, because they are meant for outdoor equipment, tactical applications, your soft goods like this sling, as well as any number of other items that are made for outdoor equipment, to include covers for your lawn, or for your, for your deck furniture, grill covers, like all that kind of stuff too. Like that's what these materials are for, because they're extremely resistant to moisture. They do not rot because it's a synthetic material. Hydrophobic for the most part. Like, yeah, it's crazy. This is like mostly dry already. So again, it just kind of comes out. Any that gets through the material is just going to sit there between the material and the close-cell foam padding on the inside, and being close-cell foam padding, it does not absorb moisture either and is buoyant. So that's another benefit of this, but this is awesome. So I just wanted to do a quick moisture test with a heavy high pressure shower head to show you that this is already dry. You can feel just a little bit of residual moisture, again, for whatever did kind of get through the stitching sides and is kind of sitting there on the foam underneath the material. But again, this base type of material dries insanely fast and repels most water. So just wanted to do a video on that for you guys. The webbing here is going to take a little bit longer to dry, so I'm just going to hang it over the rack here and let it dry out for the rest of the for a little while. So, but yeah, you can definitely feel the nylon absorbed way more moisture, a ton more. This stuff, yeah, it's it's crazy how good this stuff is. I'm very happy with this. So when you see a lot of the industry and folk talking about, oh, nylon this, nylon that, well, guess what? Nylon is an older synthetic material. So like the webbing here, nylon is an older form of these synthetic materials. There are pros and cons to it, which I've made a community post on. So if you want to go check my community posts, there's a couple of tiles there that show the pros and cons and benefits to these two different material types, one being poly-based and one being the nylon. The poly-based stuff is more rigid. They both offer ruggedized options and stuff, but nylon absorbs way more moisture. It also does not hold its color nearly as long. This is dye sublimation, which means that it is much deeper penetration of dye of the print into the material, to the point where it's basically double-sided. One side's just a little lighter than the other, depending on the material type. So that means that this dye will stay far, far longer than nylon. It's also much more UV resistant, so it's not going to fade nearly as quickly. 3 to 10 times longer color holding than nylon will. Nylon is more elastic. It does have a little higher tensile strength, but again, in these kinds of products like this, like a sling and mag pouches and stuff, that is negligible. Again, that's one of the points in the tiles. Both types offer, you know, different options and needs for that type of equipment and things like that. So tensile strength is not an issue. Nylon retains more moisture and has more stretch to it. So if you want something if you need something that's a little more rigid, and again is a rugged option, so like your 600D, your 1000D and things like that for packs, bags, plate carriers, you know, that kind of stuff, apart from standard pouches and otherwise, these are excellent to pick from. These are excellent options. Also, new partner coming on board, Tacked Wrap. So if you need, so it's the same 600D material. He puts an adhesive backing on it and then cuts it in certain patterns so that you can apply them to your scopes, stocks, mags, whatever. Tacked Wrap. Pete is an awesome dude, and he's coming on board. He ordered several different patterns to kind of start his product lines with the FRAC-T pattern additions to his products. So I will link him and Swift Textile and Design in the description, so go check them out. Yeah, this is fucking dry already. This is awesome. I love this stuff. Yeah, that's about it. Just a lot of info there, kind of talking about that. And you can see the nylon is still wet because it absorbs moisture, whereas this stuff, it's gone pretty much already. So yeah, that's awesome. So with that, we're going to call it here. Any other questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments, okay? Pattern looks great. The color's awesome. Metal up. Out.